How do you think the widespread availability of information through the internet has affected our ability to critically evaluate sources and form our own opinions? The widespread availability of information isn't itself the problem, I think, but perhaps the lowered cost of entry to producing legitimate-looking information is. When I was a Gen X teen, people had to spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to print books and magazines, and the ridiculous fictions and lies were pretty limited in comparison to today because the audience was commensurately small. Today, someone can spin up an official-looking website or social media presence, and then turn on the dishonesty faucet and flood everyone's existence, and the work it takes to figure out that they're lying is higher than it used to be. It's not the widespread availability of information, but rather the psychological instant gratification of social media and technology that results in a society less likely to develop patience and long-form critical analysis skills. Water follows the path of least resistance, so do humans. We ask a question, and when we receive an answer it becomes the truth. It's very rare for a person to question the answer, so to speak. It hasn't. One thing is that people tend to research things to support their perspective instead of looking at it from a mutual perspective. For example, coffee is bad for you is something they might type instead of is coffee bad for you? Or they don't look into the opposing side. No, critical reasoning has always been hard. There's just a lot more crap to sift through these days. In my experience, I work a lot and have many obligations during the day, but I try to learn on the go. I listen to podcasts, watch videos, read etc. But because of our way of living, I don't have time to sit and think about those informations. When I manage to get some time to think those over and research the resources, it becomes much more easy to form an opinion. Now, internet is able to influence any person on this planet, whether it is negative or positive. And yes, you are right, now we can get any information very easily. We don't have to think for any problem. And by now people build their opinions on behalf of social media. People doesn't research for anything, they just saw any headline or any misinformation, they just make their opinion. But I don't think it's made us worse. More like, it's always been difficult, and the internet has made that more and more apparent. Before the internet, there were fewer sources at your disposal, so it made it easier to decide which you trust and which you don't trust. Now, we're inundated with information from all sides. It's impossible to vet everything you ever read or see or are shown online. There aren't enough hours in the day to do so. Ironically, there are channels available through the same widespread availability of information that can teach people to critically evaluate sources. The thing is knowing how to identify those first. I imagine teaching kids early is the way to go. Less the widespread availability of information and more the obfuscation of the intention of that information by its creators or benefactors. Just because you see something online doesn't mean it's true. Critical thinking and examination of bias are at an all-time low. People really only want information that makes them feel better and confirms their already formed opinions. People will create conspiracy theories to explain things rather than accept that they were wrong. What you learn in a few hours of scrolling used to take your ancestors years to learn. Not mine. If anything, it's taught me a lot of red flags to avoid. However, there's no handbook, so a lot of people just stay gullible. Cambridge Analytica didn't just happen all by itself. I think the bigger issue is the echo chamber effect. You go to Facebook, social media, click 3 links, and now FB knows you love this stuff, be it kittens or right-wing neo-Nazis. It will keep spamming you with the same content no matter what. It will use your IP to track you. I saw my birthday present my wife bought on her computer and cookies without end. If you don't question stuff and you are feed the same stuff over and over again, you will start to believe it. The internet gives us tons of information, which is good for learning new things and hearing different opinions. But it can also be overwhelming, and we might end up only looking at stuff that agrees with what we already believe. Plus, there's a lot of fake news out there, so it's important to be careful about what we trust. It's all about being able to think critically and not just accepting everything we see online.